Thanks for joining me for Bay Area Vista. I'm Janice Edwards. The Bay Area's own Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is back with his latest movie, Gridiron Gang. It's the story of teenage felons at Camp Kilpatrick who form a football team under the guidance of Seann Porter. Nice to see you again,
and
welcome.
Good to see you too. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Oh, glad to have you. This story obviously is inspiring, but let's talk about what's personal for you in this, because football turned your life around after some arrests at an early age.
It did. Listen, I was one of these kids. I started getting in trouble and arrested by the time I was 13, continued to get in trouble and arrested by the time I was 17, but I was lucky. I had my own Seann Porter in my life. My arresting officer said, listen, you're going to stop getting in trouble, and I want you to go out and play football for your freshman high school football team. I did that. I continued to get in trouble. I didn't learn my lesson, but it was a work in progress. But now as I'm older, you realize there's a value in that when you have somebody older in your life who invests a little bit of time in you and who cares.
The inmates here have trouble responding to authority, being a member of a team, and accepting criticism. Now, what one activity can improve them in all these areas?
So you want to start a football team?
Exactly.
Your neck is way, way out on this.
Just like you were probably skeptical when he said that to you. That's what we see, obviously, among these teens who are hardened and soft underneath, obviously. But are, some are killers even.
100%. You know, these kids have done everything you could possibly imagine, from petty theft to murder. And, what you realize, because we shot there at the prison, and you realize that these kids are just that. They're kids. They're still scared. They still want their mom's love. They still want the dad's love. They still want to feel special, feel needed, all these things. And that was Seann's way of getting through to these kids by football. These kids didn't respect anything. They certainly didn't respect each other or authority. So he used football as that thread. And he said, listen, it's August. If you trust me now, come December, I'm going to turn you into men.
You're all losers. But if you accept the challenge, when it's all over, come this December, you'll be winners.
An amazing story in just a short amount of time, and they had some victories.
Amazing.
Yeah.
They never played football before. They never put on pads. You can't write that. It's unbelievable.
It is. Now, did Seann have anything to say to you about how you were playing him? I can't imagine someone saying to you, "Well, I don't like the way you're doing this."
Dwayne, let me tell you, the way you captured my essence, I don't like that. I got to be honest with you, Seann Porter, he's an amazing guy, and he watches me with intense eyes. But again, not to the point where he says, well, I disagree by the way you approach that scene with your acting. It wasn't like that at all. He just said, listen, if you're going to tell this story, I want you to tell it truthful. This world that I come from, the world that these kids come from, is dark, it's violent, it's gritty, it's not nice. But at the end of the day, it's still positive. And you've got to keep it positive. If it's not positive, we lost. Then you lose kids. He goes, if it's positive, then we win. That's all he cared about.
There's a scene in there where your character is dealing with forgiveness of his father.
Right.
Did you draw on anything personally?
100%. Look, we used to live here, and my dad was a great popular wrestler here,
yes,
as well as my grandfather, and he was away a lot. So we have struggled with that relationship, that father-son relationship, and I get into the same business that he was in, that he didn't want me to get in. I became successful in that business, and then, off into movies. So there was a lot of struggles, and there were a lot that I pulled from my own relationship with my dad into that scene, which brought on the tears, and it's a very real place. It was cathartic in a way, and at the same time, it made me feel great that I still got my dad around, by the way, that I could call him and say, come on, let's go eat.
What do you do spiritually to keep yourself grounded?
Thank the good Lord every day. Every single day, without fail. And I always have these moments. I'll sit and have one right now. Thank you. I could be in a much worse place. I'm a grateful man for everything I have.
I can imagine seeing those kids probably brought it home that it could have been so different.
I said, don't rush me.
Perhaps not because of your father's influence, your mom, and the people you knew, but you were
been.
still on that path.
I was on that path. It could have been, and that's the thing. I didn't come from a broken home. I had a strong family. I had love. We didn't have any money, but I had love, and you realize that as you get older, that that's what these kids need. That's the responsibility we have as adults, to take care of our kids, period. Mine, I take care of yours, you take care of mine, we got to take care of our kids. As long as we have that consistent love, then anything can happen. You know what I mean? You provide that consistent love. That's it. That's all you need.
Whatever gang you claim, whatever hood you're from, this is your hood now. Hustle, touch that line and get back.
I want to be a Mustang coach. I want to show people I can play. I'm tired of being a loser.